All right, we'll start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call.
All right, Corey, absent. Larry, absent. Tom,
Yes.
Lynn, here. Norm,
Yes.
John,
Yep.
and Michelle.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not gonna even read public meeting participation rules because I don't think anybody's gonna carry on. But we can cut you off after what, 3 minutes? But you're the applicant, Kent, so we're not gonna cut you off. Okay, adoption of agenda.
I'll move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, opposed. Okay, approval of minutes, December 12th, 2022.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, opposed. Approved. Okay, public comment. Is anybody making any public comment? Not in regard to the case. Kevin, are you making public comment?
There we go.
Yeah, the spots are gonna, are close to an addition. Got it. It's actually a little bit nicer than the last one we did because they have better margins.
Okay.
Take that into consideration. Pretty simple for it.
Okay. All right, correspondence, report 13-22 from Rick Duell. We have a motion to file.
So moved.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Okay, public hearings, case number P-1322, Pike House Contracting LLC requests a special approval use for the vertical expansion of an existing nonconformity. Property is located at 8660 Gutchess Road, parcel number 018-145-000-06500 in a waterfront residential district. Okay, so we need a motion.
I'll move to open the public forum, a public hearing.
I'll support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Pete, you are representing the owner, right? You're not the owner, but you're representing, okay.
Peter Carlson, Pike House Contracting. We are representing the owners at 8660 Gutchess Road. Darren and Verbo. The Verbos have hired us to put a second story addition on their existing cottage. Present here cottage is 20 foot by 30 foot, 600 square foot cottage. Seems like a roof off of this building and add a second story to it and then renovate the existing structure. If there's anything else that you need to know, if there's any questions you have, I'd be happy to answer them. But I would like to say thank you for being on Friday.
Thank you.
And my comment is that I'd like to see, or I don't know if we'd ever approve anything like this without, the sewer being adequate. So, and it appears that is the situation here. So that's good news. Yeah. Because I know there's sewers around that lake that probably aren't. But only in the Presque portion of the lake, not Alpena Township, not Township Alpena portion. Okay, go ahead, no, go ahead.
I went by there today trying to find the driveway, and the best I could come up with is there's a completely snowed in area that I thought was the driveway. Is that probably where I'm at? I wasn't gonna pull in there anyway. Okay.
And I was the same way today. Man.
The house is actually off of Gutchess Road, and it's a Gutchess Road address, and their property does go right up to Gutchess. I think there's probably 5 or 6 cottages in there, and that little portion.
Oh, okay.
This one, the board reviewed, I believe, approved the application a couple months ago. Same, and actually almost the sister project to the, and that is identical. That one is actually 2 doors down.
Is this one white or gray? White, okay. It's the ones that I was looking at too. So that's what I thought it was.
Those are some narrow lots. Yeah.
That'll be fun to get construction trailers down there and not make everybody mad. Uh-huh.
I'm honestly not only side to side with them, but overhead.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Anybody else, I guess reviewing Richard Duell's report. Here's all the conditions have been met in his review also. And I won't go over them one by one unless somebody wants me to. No, okay. Any other questions? No, okay. Motion to close, right? Motion to close. then.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have 3 options, approve without. Approve without conditions, approve with conditions, or not to table. We have 4, we could table or not approve. So we
I make a motion to approve. That's the way it is.
as in motion
Number
1.
one.
Okay, okay. Now you're gonna do a roll call on this, one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Tom,
Aye.
Lynn? Yes. Nora?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay,
Thank you.
no problem. Too bad too bad you couldn't have got it on the.
Just a phone call,
Almost famous.
but thank you for being prepared.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm retired, so every day's Saturday except Sunday pizza.
You can go if you want, unless you want to listen to the.
Unless you want to listen to the wind, you're welcome to stay or whatever you want to do. So-
There you go, there you go.
There you go. They're doing, I don't know which basketball or
We're gonna go down.
hockey.
Are you?
Really.
We all are.
Good. Oh,
Lynn, we're they don't have to sign anything. We decided right on
Right.
this. Okay, all right.
Yeah, you don't have to sign anything. There's not a plan, it's like plan.
Okay,
And you approve
all
it
right.
in the minute.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay,
You're all set. Have a good weekend.
Have a good-
See you in a little bit.
take care, guys.
go Wildcats.
You still give him his copy.
Oh, yeah.
All right. It's just a copy. You gotta have your, just a copy of your case. All right, okay.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, all business zoning ordinance number 152. We tabled that at our last meeting and so we've already done our public hearing. Okay, Denise, were you gonna, do you have
Yeah.
something to tell us?
Well, Nathan asked me to log into this meeting because he had sent me an email suggesting that because you all are a good portion of you attended that solar training a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was last week. I'm losing track of time, so I don't remember when it was now. So he said, it's what he'd like to see, I think, is to do the solar as a separate amendment. Because I think maybe some of the stuff that got talked about at the meeting possibly you might want to make some changes to that. So that was, I think, what he's suggesting, because he brought up in the email, things like when I talked a little bit about a solar overlay at that training session. And I don't know if that's something you guys want to look at, because it does, you know, it limits it then, instead of opening up like your entire ag, or I don't even remember, I guess I can look at where we said it was allowed, but it does limit it. And that's what Green Township did. Right now, it's already in your ordinance. So it's, I mean, it's, you know, it's pretty open. So that was, I think, one of the things that he wanted to talk about. And then also that a whole idea of the pollinator plantings, you know, where to have some type of language in there that, you know, requires a pollinator. And I was looking into that. So, I mean, we can add some stuff to it. So he was suggesting maybe, and we can do that. We can remove the solar. I mean, you've already held a public hearing for the whole thing. It's fine if you want to move forward with the rest of it, minus the solar. You would just make a motion like that. So I guess I just throw it out for discussion, and you tell me what you'd like to see.
So if somebody, if we were to take that part out and somebody wanted to develop some kind of a solar farm, we still have, they still have the capability to do that with our ordinance.
Yeah, yep.
Okay,
Yeah, it's already in there. We put it in, you know, during the rewrite. So it's allowed. It doesn't have a whole lot. There are not a whole lot of standards that are currently in there. So adding this amendment for solar was to, you know, put some better language in terms of, like, you know, making sure they submit like a decommissioning plan, and have some better language on that, have some better language on screening and stuff like that. So, I mean, it makes it stronger, but so, I mean, I like it the way it reads it, even just in the amendment, but if we really want to look at the overlay idea and also add that pollinator language, we probably need to take it out of this amendment. And then if you guys are all right with the rest of the amendment, minus the solar, with all those other things that you talked about, you can make a motion to recommend the township board approve the amendment, you know, and in that motion, say, removing the solar, the solar portion. So, you know, that would be a way to do it. Now, has this gone to the county for review yet? I actually don't know.
no.
It hasn't.
No,
Okay.
it first goes through us and then.
Yeah, I thought, I mean, it technically can go to the county after you hold your public hearing, even if you haven't made a recommendation yet. So it could have gone after your public hearing, but it doesn't matter, because, you know, it'll go now once you guys decide tonight on if you want to remove that and then move forward with the rest of it.
See, I just a question, Denise, the last one we did on the marijuana, we went through the county and they voted no. But our board still passed it, and
Yeah.
and then the city, what's her name?
Rachel.
No,
Oh, what's that next door? What is there?
Montiel was there, and I said, well, do you guys run your she said no.
No, they don't
I'm
have.
thinking, what I wonder, well, what are we just do this as a courtesy, or
No,
what?
it's in the state, it's in the zoning enabling act. It's written that way, that cities and villages are not required. They're not even in that section, the section that says you have to send it to the county.
Oh,
And that
okay,
is
okay.
specific to townships, and it doesn't give you a choice. So you have to, even
Okay,
if the county says, whatever, we're not even gonna give feedback, you still have to check that legal box that you sent it and they had the opportunity. And then, you know, like what happened with that one, they said, no, we don't like it. It doesn't matter. I mean, their only review and recommendation, they have no bearing on your final decision, unless, you know, you want to take their advice. That's the only effect that they have. But unfortunately, yeah, unless the county waived their right to review township zoning amendments, townships just get punished with that extra 30-day period that you have to send it. I don't know why the state does
And that's
that.
okay. I wanted to know
Yep.
I didn't memorize the zoning enabling act yet, like you have, but.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I still have to look things up, but that one, because that one gets asked about all the time. That why do townships have to do it and cities and villages don't?
Right.
It's not fair.
I have a question, and excuse my ignorance, everyone. What do you mean by remove solar?
Take that part of the amendment out of that, amendment one, I can't remember the name of it. So it doesn't mean it's removing solar from your ordinance. Your current ordinance already has solar, but the additional language that we put in this amendment that's in front of you, he's saying, take that out for now, hold off on doing that additional language, and let us do a separate amending ordinance just for solar, and give you guys some more time to talk about the possibility, if you want to, of doing like an overlay district, like what Green Township did.
Got it. Thank you.
And what about, I've heard that the state may, do you know, do you have any feelings on that or?
I mean, that's been being talked about for a while, that
Okay,
the way I understood it is that, you know, if too many communities fought against it, then that's probably going to happen sooner rather than later. But if, you know, so what, you know, trying to encourage communities, you know, mostly townships, obviously, to put it in there, but with some, you know, reasonable regulations. And like what, you know, like what Green Township did, they didn't want it. You know, their initial thing was, well, we don't want solar because, you know, we're an ag community and we want to keep it an ag community. But after, you know, a few meetings, lots of talk, we came around to, well, it's not a good idea to try and, you know, zone it out because that's exclusionary. And so they ended up doing that idea where they looked at where their active farms were and where their prime agricultural soils were, and tried to put it, you know, away from those areas, and or allow it in that overlay away from those areas. And it still ended up to be a really big portion of the township. So I would call that like a pretty reasonable, you know, reasonable regulations, where it's, I mean, it's not wide open, but it's better than saying no. So I think if lots of communities fight against it, which is happening in other parts of the state, I think they're just gonna supersede it. State's just gonna supersede it, but they haven't
So
yet.
if we took the time and took it out and then took the time to write the new ordinance, we'd be wasting a lot of time and money because the state's eventually just gonna say.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think you can do it in another month, just because really all you'd have to talk about is whether you want to do an overlay and whether you want to add the pollinator stuff in there. Those are really, I don't think that's going to take too long. And right now, it's still wide open in the township. Solar is still allowed by special use.
Mhm.
So it isn't, you know, even if you left it as is, it's, you know, you guys are very permissive. You're not being restrictive at all with solar. But so that was his suggestion. Or you could just say, now we want to leave it in the way it, you know, the way it reads. That's completely up to you guys. And it's also the township board's prerogative when it gets there to say, no, we're not going to adopt the solar part of this yet. We want to look at it more. So they could do that too.
Okay. My biggest thing was the pollinator. When they talked about that, I thought that was super important, especially because you know, there's a lot of environmentalists, and you know, what's going to happen to this ground that has panels on it, you know, and there's nothing there for birds and the bees.
Mhm.
And adding a pollinator clause or whatever it would be, whether it's making it required, then that just, to me, it makes sure that we have a decommission plan. And when those are decommissioned, in my simple mind, I'm picturing this, a decommissioned solar farm, the soil itself is still,
It'll be fine. Yeah,
it'll be fine.
should be.
Yeah. That would be my only suggestion about that.
and I guess I feel like, are we, do we feel like we wanna, we don't wanna, you know, we don't really wanna, it's like we were trying to, when we were doing marijuana, we said, well, we're gonna allow one license, we're gonna allow 2 licenses. Then we said, well, we'll allow as many as, and the market will determine if
Correct.
that's gonna happen. You know, if 5 can make it, or, you know.
Right.
Good, yeah.
John, do you have any input on this on that?
I did. I had some questions from before, and I think one of the things I just want to address the pollinator issue.
Okay.
That is, from my standpoint, and I'm on the other side of the fence, I'm in that industry. Everybody's looking at pollinators because it's just good sell. But there's also the thought of raising the panels more and being able to use the ag land underneath for grazing or whatever, sheep, hogs, goats. no cows. I don't think they get it up that high and they'd rub on it too much. So. But it depends on the company and who's doing it and what they're going to do. So
So right now, and I apologize, I printed the wrong packet, so I don't have that, but is there a height requirement
I don't-
stated?
I didn't see anything. Is there, Denise?
That's why let me double check. Hang on.
And then I guess my question is, would we limit that? If there's not already something stated as a minimum height, would we limit the maximum height?
Should we as a plan commission care how high it is?
Not a red height.
Pardon?
I don't think there's, there's
I
no
don't-
height, there's no height limit right now.
Okay,
No,
go ahead, Ken.
and there's,
They didn't want to have a limit on height, then if they started using parking lots. They could use the parking lot.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay.
yeah,
Mhm,
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
that's right.
Plus, also, I mean, a parking lot, commercial grade, which is what we're looking at, right? Denise, utility scale.
Yeah,
I don't know who the heck's gonna put in that kind of parking lot up here. So, for anything, but that's big. The biggest thing I had from before was in 13B, which is the siting panels to avoid disturbance and compaction of farmland by siting panels along field edges and in non-production areas to the maximum extent practicable and financial.
and there's the out right there. Oh, it's not practical, so we can't do that. So.
Well, but I'm thinking from my industry standpoint of the, what are the setbacks? And we don't have anything in here about setbacks at all.
Yeah. I think
Property lines for
Yeah.
non-participating,
50 feet, yeah,
there is,
50-foot
for
setback,
non-participating,
right.
where's that at, Denise?
It's number 4, it's on page 8.
Oh, I see it, okay, I take that back. Shall be
Yes,
at least
that-
50 feet from the property line. I have seen in many places else or other places also that if it's a non-participating landowner next door, Tom lives next to me and I decide I want to do it, but he doesn't want to do it, that the setback is further. 100, 150 or something, just to keep it away from him more.
I
Yes,
thought that was where the, transformer was gonna be,
the setback,
setback to the center where the. Oh, what's it called?
because it's DC power, they convert to AC, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, inverted, yeah.
And what the solar panels actually. Due to the hum and noise that was.
I don't remember seeing that, to be honest, Kevin.
I just remember you guys talking about it.
Okay.
Microphone. It won't pick up the. Won't be able to hear them.
It's so there's the setback is only for non-participating, right?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
well,
50
right
feet.
now, so your current ordinance, just from all property lines.
Yeah.
So the new one would be, right, you take all the different properties that are put together to, that are gonna be used for the solar facility, it's just basically the outer edges, right? The properties that aren't part of the whole facility is the 50 feet. So I mean, that's an option. Do you guys want to talk about a bigger setback?
I don't know yet. I really would like to see some ordinances. And I've put in a request for a couple of comrades of mine, if you want to call them that. I just haven't gotten anything yet to look at, so. I know this has been done in an awful lot of areas in the state. And there's a lot more being proposed, So,
Well, so it sounds like our feeling, if I'm reading it right, we would approve the first part of it and then we would table the solar
amendments,
amendment,
Yeah.
subject to some changes or not, we don't.
yeah.
Anybody have any different feelings on that?
No.
Maybe remove the solar portion.
Yeah, the amendment, all the red on the solar section,
Right, yeah, the red is all through it.
all the red and the
Yeah.
struck out. Oh,
Yeah, so you would just be recommending that the township board adopt the remainder of these amendments, except for there's not just the solar section at the end, but also the solar definitions that are on the second page. So so that's doable, that they just, because I know you've got these other amendments that you really want to do, which, you know, where he talked about building height and stuff, and those are important to get done, so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we're not, if somebody wanted to do solar, we're not limiting them from doing
Nope.
it in our
Nope.
township, so
Still wide open.
it's better to hopefully
Better get it right.
get it right, and then to, you know, redo it because we,
Rushed.
yeah.
Yeah.
So do we have to make a motion for that such?
Yep, you make a motion to recommend that the township board adopt whatever ordinance number this is. But without the amendments referencing solar. Yeah.
So moved.
What Denise says.
Let's support it.
Until in supporting so.
Agree.
You want me to put benefits like we. Yeah, that'd be great. Okay.
So what you do in, you make a motion to recommend adoption of this.
Uh-huh.
Without
Okay.
amendments referencing solar.
Okay. I will make a motion to recommend the adoption of ordinance 152 to the Charter Township Board of Trustees without amendments referencing solar.
Second.
Knew it was coming.
Is that by vote?
Yeah, I'm
gonna
do it by vote. All right,
Aye.
Dylan. Yes. Norm,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and Michelle,
Yes.
motion passed.
So two things, when it goes to the county, I know the township always sends it yourselves to the county. So whoever does that in the letter to the county, make sure you say that, you know, that even though, because we have to send it to them this way with the solar in it, because that's what the public hearing was held for, right? And that's, the township board could still say, now we're gonna do the solar anyways. So we have to send the whole thing to the county with the solar, and then with notes in the, you know, in the letter saying, but the planning commission would like to hold off on the solar because they have some more changes. So just make sure that's clear when it goes to the county. And then the other thing is we are doing the second portion of that training on, I think they said February 2nd.
Mhm.
Okay, they sent out an email today, I believe, or yesterday, I don't remember. And they are having an in-person and an online session. So I'll just encourage you guys to, because it's a lot, they'll go into a lot more detail about the zoning part of it at this one. So get signed up.
Denise, the question I had on that, and sorry to make it about me, the second I would not be able to go to the Gaylord, and on the 9th for the online is our annual Alpena Chamber of Commerce dinner that I know at least 3 people on this commission would be
Oh,
at, and I happen to be the MC, so I can't skip it. But my
Okay.
question is it recorded so that we could view it at another time?
yep.
Okay.
we can Record it, so.
Cool. Then I think we can discuss that amongst ourselves to either you guys.
Well, I'm
can
sure
go
we
or-
could probably just, if we're registered, we could probably just pull it up and watch it ourselves too, right?
Yeah, if you're not, I
Yeah.
can't that night. I'm gonna be busy.
But I was, it appeared to me at that meeting, just a comment that a lot of people are there want people to tell them that solar is it works, that, you know, and I look at it as we're gonna give people the opportunity to do this, and if they fall
Flat on their
flat
face.
on their face, they do, and if they make money, you know, good for them.
Yeah.
So that's what I don't wanna limit something, so put such tight restrictions on it that somebody can't do it.
I think there's gathered that there's just a lot of people against the thought,
Probably.
period.
I think this is also putting our name out there that if the utilities or somebody wants to come in, that they want to make money and put a solar farm in, that this is what you got to do to make it compatible with our township.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Rather than just somebody wanting to put.
but not if, just because if we personally don't like it.
Economic growth.
And,
I think,
like, the marijuana one, I mean, this is a lot different than that, but there was, not everybody
Period.
necessarily liked it, but they knew it was.
Necessary.
well, I can give a little bit more information on that one. I'm not sure, just because I work with a lot of communities that are dealing with this issue, and I'm not sure it's so much about not liking it. It's because these communities that are arguing against it are really concerned about loss of farmland. And that really, and I know that, I'm not sure that that message is getting out there. Like, when we initially did this training, when I took this training, most of them were talking about, visual, it's aesthetics, and our communities, the ones that have talked to me about it, isn't really about that. It really was about what's going to happen if, we convert a massive amount of farmland in Michigan to solar, and how does that, how does that impact production? And, the answer wasn't Sarah that did the training, and she's a farmland preservation specialist. She said, well, we don't really know. I mean, the answer is we don't know. So that's the part, I think that's where most people are, I guess, hesitant, is that, do we really know? What's that going to impact production? How does that impact livestock and food production? And I don't know either. I'm not an expert on that. And I think that's their main question, more so than just, oh, we don't like solar. So
Okay.
that just gives you a little more insight in what the other communities are saying.
We have a lot of land out there that used to be farmland that nothing is happening.
Right.
It's just sitting.
Mhm.
How do you become a millionaire farmer?
Well.
Start with 2 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, yeah,
Trust me.
yeah.
Do what I missed it.
Start with 2 million.
Like I'm working on my second million because I gave up on the first.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, any,
The only other thing I had was about that meeting, wondering if it was gonna be recorded, so. Thank you, Denise.
Same caterer, Denise, that's all we want to know.
I think so, yeah.
that's all John wants to know.
That's
John
all I
wants to
wanna
know
And
that.
Larry and I have discussed it at length. Oh,
Wait a minute. Do you want the same caterer, or?
gosh, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I didn't eat.
Larry's already got a plastic bag to take.
Yeah, we
with him.
already got our Tupperware.
Yeah.
Actually, we should have had doggy bags. We had so much left over. It was ridiculous. And the caterers just took it with them.
Oh, Lord.
I didn't eat. I just had a brownie. But that's Gordon Foods.
Yeah,
It was my wedding
yeah,
cake, so
yeah.
I knew what I was getting there. Thank you,
Okay.
Denise.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Denise.
Have a good night.
weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Kevin, you have anything else to add? No? Okay,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?